You claim it's not.
Ya. Terima kasih Christina buat introduction-nya dan juga halo selamat pagi bapak-bapak dan ibu-ibu sekalian. Selamat pagi dan sebelumnya saya mau mengucapkan terima kasih juga pertama-tama sama Prudential Indonesia yang sudah mengundang saya hari ini ke acara prestigious event di Indonesia untuk share my experience, my case study dan juga my knowledge with all the audience ya. Sebenarnya waktu saya terima ini invitation dari Prudential Indonesia, saya sangat-sangat bahagia, saya sangat-sangat happy. Karena dan juga saya orang Indonesia yang Christina tadi mention, saya orang Indonesia dan juga waktu saya mendapatkan invitation bahwa saya speak for Prudential Indonesia, I'm really very happy. Ya, and can see all of you with a very high energy. Saya juga lebih senang dan mungkin sharing hari ini juga moga-moga saya bisa kasih value dan juga benefits to all the agen asuransi. If you all have any question nanti ya, boleh nanti dalam Q&A session just tanya sama kakak. Kakak try my very best to actually answer all the question. Dan juga I think saya juga kenal, tadi saya kelihatan Mariana juga message, hi Mariana, kalau kamu masih di sana, ya very happy to see you in today's session, and also if Pak Handoyo is there, juga teman saya juga dari orang Jogja, ya. Sebelum saya mulai saya punya sharing, saya mau kasih a little bit introduction about myself. Ya, banyak orang tanya, kakak orang Indonesia ya, masih medok-medok yaitu bahasa Indonesia. Bener nggak? Bisa dengar nggak? Waktu saya ngomong bahasa Indonesia kadang-kadang banyak yang tanya, kakak medok banget sih orang mana atau ini tuh orang mana? Aku memang orang Jawa, ya orang Jawa. Jadi emang bahasa Indonesia saya bener-bener medok ya. Tapi waktu saya di Malaysia bener, kalau waktu I do sharing atau aku jual asuransi ke prospek, ke klien juga semua pakai bahasa Inggris. Jadi hari ini waktu saya share, saya ngomong sama Christina, I will try my very best to mix 50% bahasa Indonesia dan juga 50% bahasa Inggris ya. So mohon maaf kalau ada sesuatu kata-kata yang mungkin nggak benar mungkin ya. Jadi mohon maaf dulu kepada semua peserta. Oke, saya mulai dulu. Saya punya background. Banyak orang tanya, kakak orang Jawa, orang Indonesia, kenapa kok bisa sampai ke Malaysia jadi agen asuransi? Lucu kan? Kenapa kok bisa jauh-jauh ke Malaysia jadi agen asuransi? Kenapa kok nggak di Indonesia? Kenapa harus ke Malaysia? Saya punya history waktu tahun 2001. 2001 waktu saya masih umur 16. Saya ke Malaysia dan juga saya sekolah di Malaysia selama 4 tahun. Terus tahun pertama saya ngambil itu pre-U di Sunway College. Terus saya lanjut lagi 3 tahun di Monash University Malaysia. Setelah saya lulus, saya nggak mau pulang ke Indonesia karena saya udah married orang Malaysia. Ya, terus saya harus tinggal di Malaysia kan sudah married sama orang Malaysia. Waktu itu saya tidak pernah berpikir mau jadi agen asuransi. Karena dari kecil juga saya nggak suka jadi agen asuransi. Karena waktu saya masih kecil, banyak agen asuransi itu approach mami saya untuk beli asuransi. Terus aku bilang, aduh Mi, jangan beli asuransi Mi, ini orang ya, semua agen-agen tuh nggak tahu dia bener-bener mau nipu apa bener-bener dia mau kasih value untuk protect mami sama protect anak-anak mami. Bener nggak sih? Jangan belilah, jangan beli. Karena kebanyakan agen asuransi yang kakak pernah ketemu waktu kecil, semua bener-bener talk about sales. Oh, ini talk about sales. Dari waktu buka mulut sampai tutup mulut, omong sales dari awal sampai terakhir. Jadi aku nggak suka agen asuransi. Terus habis aku lulus dari Monash, saya pikir, aduh gimana ya, mau bisnis apa ya? Karena aku nggak pernah suka kerja sama orang. Karena waktu dari umur 16, saya sudah ada big dreams. My big dreams is to build dreams for myself. Aku nggak mau build dreams for other people. Karena kalau aku kerja sama orang lain, at the end of the day, I build dreams for others people, not for myself. So I don't want. Karena aku adalah seseorang yang put my heart and soul into the things that I do. So if I work for people, at the end of the day, I build dreams for people, not for myself. Terus aku mulai mikir, aduh bisnis apa ya? Yang penting saya mau jadi career woman, mau jadi business owner, mau be my own boss. Aku nggak mau kerja sama orang lain. Dan pada saat itu, Kan karena saya juga barusan lulus dari kuliah dan baru married kan, uang pun nggak cukup banyak kalau mau buka bisnis kan. Terus saya ada satu opportunity waktu itu saya pernah kelihatan di Malaysia waktu tahun 2009 sampai 2008 sampai 2009. Nah, ini bisnis aku mau share sama kalian sebelum kakak join asuransi. Oke, next ya. Nah, sebelum kakak join asuransi, ini ada satu bisnis yang very unik di Malaysia. Kalau kakak mau buka bisnis di mall, pasti aku nggak cukup modal untuk nyewa tempat lah, untuk mau hire staff to sell my product, kakak nggak cukup uang. Terus saya kelihatan ini toko di One Utama, di satu mall, ini toko, dia tuh ada kayak cubicle kecil, dan dia itu kasih rent ke business owner. Satu kubikel kecil ini mungkin sekitar, kalau kamu mau nyewa sekitar 3 juta per bulan. Aku masih ingat ya, harganya sekitar 1.000 ringgit. Sekitar 3 juta rupiah. 3 juta sampai 4 juta rupiah. Terus setiap kali kamu place itu barang di situ kan, terus kamu boleh jual, dan kamu nggak usah hire staff, karena dalam toko ini sudah ada staff yang bantuin kamu jual. Oke, dan ini bisnis bener-bener booming karena waktu saat itu kan nggak banyak orang jual aksesoris Swarovski. Kalian pernah dengar aksesoris Swarovski yang bling-bling itu ya? Karena kalau banyak-banyak cewek kalau lihat ini bling-bling asuransi, bling-bling Swarovski atau perhiasan jewelry, dia langsung beli kan. Nah, pada saat itu kakak penjualan bener-bener top. Satu bulan itu saya bisa ada penjualan sekitar 14 sampai 15 ribu ringgit dalam ini box kecil. Sampai itu newspaper company aja datang interview kakak sama itu suami saya ya, kakak sama suami saya itu ya, itu interview saya, dia bilang, waduh, tempat kecil ini aja sudah bisa generate such a big profit which is 15,000 ringgit every single month. Terus mereka datang interview. Terus kakak beli sesuatu, karena setiap produk ya, setelah kamu udah mencapai top pasti ada product life cycle. Oke ya, product life cycle. Ada yang tanya, Mbak Jawanya dari mana? Saya asli orang Jogja ya, saya asli orang Jogja. Makanya Jawa saya juga ada Jawa Jogja ya. Terus waktu aku bisnis ini, dia bilang, aku bilang, wah ini produk bener-bener laris sekali kan. Kalau gitu kenapa saya nggak mau beli lagi yang produk yang baru, terus saya jual lagi. Terus ini lihat ya, sebelah saya tuh sebenarnya pemiliknya beda ya, bukan saya. Di atas boxnya saya juga pemiliknya beda. Setiap box itu dimiliki sama different business owner. Nah, sebelah saya lihat, waduh, penjualan kakak benar-benar hebat. Saya juga mau jual aksesoris Swarovski. Nah, terus waktu dia jual, kakak misalnya jual satu kalung 200 ringgit. For example ya, dia sengaja jual 150 ringgit. Ya semua customerku lari ke dia lah, nggak beli dari saya lagi. Terus aku tanya sama suamiku, aduh ini bisnis ya nggak sustainable, aku nggak suka. Karena kalau kakak bener-bener mau bisnis, aku mau make sure that the business is sustainable for a long time. Ya. Terus habis itu saya pikir lagi, aduh bisnis apa ya yang bisa dapat banyak profit dan juga nggak perlu modal besar. Next. Ini shoe wheel, kalian pernah lihat nggak? In fact di Indonesia juga ada, namanya Raku shoe wheel. Pernah lihat? Nggak ya? Moga-moga mungkin ada beberapa orang mungkin pernah lihat, mungkin juga pernah beli, juga pernah pakai ya. Ini sebenarnya shoe rack, tapi boleh take care of, or boleh keep 15 pairs of shoes in this shoe rack. Oke ya, so we call it as a shoe wheel. Ini produk ini kakak import dari US. Dan kakak jual di Malaysia 299 ringgit per biji. Waktu itu ya kakak bisa jual satu kontainer ya, sebelum the next container come into Malaysia, aku bisa jual satu kontainer. Ya, rak sepatu. It's a very good, I can guarantee that the sales is amazing. Karena waktu itu di Malaysia nggak ada benda ini. Sekali konsumer lihat, wah ini apa nih, lucu sekali ya, seperti hamster itu shoe wheel punya hamster kan, buat hamster yang running itu kan, dibilang lucu sekali, bisa store up to 15 pairs of shoes. Dan juga setiap perempuan pasti dia ada masalah sepatu, banyak banget sepatu tapi dia nggak ada cukup storage untuk keep mereka punya sepatu, betul kan? Terus waktu itu kakak jual bener-bener banyak banget, dia 1000 unit, sekali 1000 unit jual, the next 1000 unit aja belum masuk. Itu kakak sudah manage tuh jual semuanya. Nah, waktu itu banyak orang yang lihat, kakak ini kamu produk ngambil dari mana? Hebat ya, laku banyak ya, omong ya laku banyak. Terus ada orang yang nggak suka karena saya penjualannya benar-benar cantik kan. Terus mereka sengaja beli imitasinya dari Cina, bawa masuk ke Malaysia, dan jual ke harga Rp199. Bedanya Rp200. Nah, waktu itu aku jualnya benar-benar hebat sampai newspaper company approach kakak lagi for interview. Terus kakak interview lagi loh, dia bilang, wah hebat sekali ya, kenapa bisa begitu kreatif, bisa bawa ini produk dari US ke Malaysia. Emang bagus penjualannya, tapi banyak orang jealous. Waktu lihat kakak sukses, banyak orang jealous. Terus orang-orang ini yang jealous, dia sengaja bawa masuk barang imitasi dari Cina, jual di Malaysia dengan harga Rp199. Rp100 lebih murah. Pastilah semua beli dari dia, nggak mau beli dari saya. Karena dia bilang, ayah ini cuma syurek kan, kenapa harus bayar Rp299 untuk dapat syurek? Kita beli yang imitasi aja, nggak apa-apa, wong ini bukan tas kok. Kecuali tas beda ya, ada LV, ada Chanel, ada Gucci, itu kamu beli mereka punya brand. Tapi syurek nggak perlu brand, yang penting bisa store up to 15 pairs of shoes. Makanya penjualanku juga mulai turun gara-gara orang bawa barang imitasi masuk ke Malaysia. Nah aku pusing lagi, aku ngomong sama suamiku, aduh gimana ya, orang-orang kok jahat sih, kenapa dia lihat saya berhasil nggak suka dan sengaja bawa barang imitasi buat penjualan saya turun. Terus the next thing I think of is, aduh bisnis apa yang bisa profitable ya, aku harus bisnis sesuatu yang related to women. Kalian juga agree nggak sama saya? Kebanyakan perempuan ya, dia suka spend money impulsively. As long as they like the product, they like the service, women don't mind to spend. Agree nggak? Bener nggak? Women don't mind to spend. As long as they love it, they love the product, they love your service, they will just spend it impulsively. You see, agree kan, betul kan ya? Makanya kakak kepikiran, okay, let's open nail salon, mani pedicure services. So waktu itu tahun 2010 waktu kakak buka toko ini, waktu itu kakak juga pikir, aduh gimana ya bisa cari customer, wong ini tokonya bukan di dalam mall. Kakak bukanya di shop lot, bukan di dalam mall ya, di shop lot. Jadi nggak ada traffic. Jadi kakak juga pikir, gimana kakak bisa dapat customer. Terus aku advertise lewat Groupon. Ada yang ingin nggak Groupon? Kayak itu voucher, kamu boleh advertise. Dan juga setiap kali klien beli voucher, terus dia redeem ini voucher di tokomu. Sekali kakak run itu deals ya, kakak bisa dapat 600 customer beli dealnya kakak. Dan Groupon betul. Dan masuk ke tokonya kakak, redeem itu vouchers. Nah, waktu dia datang ke toko kakak tugasnya upsell, sell them a package, nail package. Jadi misalnya 5 kali manicure and 5 kali pedicure misalnya Rp100. Atau 5 kali manicure, 5 kali pedicure Rp200. Jadi kakak jual nail package. Aku bukan manicurist, tapi my job in the nail salon as the PR, doing the PR and also do the marketing. I want to make sure that I bring business to the nail salon. But the person who serve the client is the manicurist, my manicurist. So waktu itu business very smooth. Then all my customer become my regular customer. Jadi regular customer. Karena kalian tahu nggak, kalau kuku ya, setiap kali kamu sudah mulai paint nail polish kan, kalau kamu nggak paint, banyak orang bilang, aduh saya berasa naked ya, kukunya nggak ada warna, I feel naked. Most of my client di Malaysia kan, dia bilang kalau kukunya nggak di paint sama nail polish kan, dia berasa seperti naked. Jadi aku dapat terus repeat business. Nggak usah cari customer baru, nggak apa-apa, karena saya banyak banget regular customer. Oke. Terus waktu itu banyak orang bilang, wah kakak hebat ya, kamu sekarang ada 6 manicurists, take care of your client. Satu hari saya bisa serve 23 customer. 23 setiap hari dari Senin sampai Minggu, karena my shop open every single day. Oke ya, salon kuku, kalau di sini kita ngomongnya salon kuku di Malaysia ya. Terus habis itu banyak yang bilang, wah ini bisnis hebat lah, kamu ada 6 manicurist. Oke. Tapi, you see ya, bisnis selalu going down when you don't make profit. Betul nggak? Tapi saya punya bisnis beda sama bisnis lain. My business start to going down when I make profit. Ada yang tahu aneh nggak? Kenapa bisnisnya kakak start going down when I make more profit? Karena saya punya staff. 6-6-nya staff dia tahu. Without my manicurist, kakak cannot run the business. Without the manicurist, kakak cannot run the business. So, actually the boss kan, bukan kakak. Tapi the boss is my staff. The 6 manicurists are my boss, not me. Okay? So, never mind. Okay, never mind. Terus kalian ingat gak kalau di Malaysia kan setiap kali Imlek ya, salon mani-pedi, nail salon kan setiap kali pasti full. Karena 1 bulan sebelumnya pasti semua orang udah make appointment to get their manicure and pedicure done. Bener nggak? Di Indonesia juga kan, sebelum ada occasion kayak Christmas lah, apa mungkin Chinese New Year lah, apa mungkin orang sebelum holiday, dia pasti mau make sure that their nails will be nicely done. Indo juga kan. Nah, what happened? 6-6 manicuristku ya, setiap kali 1 bulan sebelum Imlek, dia pasti blackmail kakak. Tahu nggak gimana blackmail? Dia bilang, kakak, Chinese New Year is coming ya. Can you help me to double my salary or not? Double lah. Not 10% extra, you know. Bukan 20% extra, bukan 10% extra, tapi 10% double the salary, the basic salary. Then I said, you only work for me for 1 year, you know. Kan aku bilang, kamu baru kerja sama aku 1 tahun, kamu minta double salary. Does it make sense or not? I don't see it makes sense. Terus mereka bilang sama kakak, it's okay kalau kamu nggak mau double. You look for other manicurists lah. All of us will work for other people. Mereka nggak mau kerja sama kakak, mereka 6-6-nya mau kerja sama orang lain. Nah gimana sebagai bos? Kamu sudah terima semua appointment. The only thing I can do is that give in to them. Give in to them and agree to them that okay, I double your salary. Final, tahun ini sudah selesai. Tahun depan sama lagi, datang lagi, suruh kakak double lagi mereka punya basic salary. Dia bilang, last year is last year, this year is this year. So if this year kamu masih mau mereka kerja sama kakak, ya kamu harus double mereka punya salary. Wah, setiap tahun ya sebelum Imlek ya, kakak pasti nangis di toko. Karena saya terasa mereka nggak pernah appreciate me. Then I question myself again, is this the business that I sign up for or not? Is this the business that I want to hold for a long term or not? I'm not happy. Setiap kali saya ke toko saya sendiri ya, I feel so sad, you know. I feel want to cry. I feel so sad because I feel that my customer, not my customer, my staff, the people that I love, they cannot appreciate me. So I feel that this is not something that I look for. I'm not happy. Iya, setiap tahun, setiap bulan kamu dapat profit. The profit is so amazing. So what if you're not happy with your life? Bener nggak? Yang kalau kamu mau make sure that you have a sustainable income, make sure that it comes with a happiness. If you're not happy, no point. Betul nggak? Ada uang tapi nggak ada happiness, pointless. Don't do. So I question myself every single day. Don't do. If you not happy, just get all your money, just don't do. Okay? Then after that, okay, so I start to think, okay, why not I actually start trying to do insurance? And you know the reason why that insurance industry opened my mind? Karena waktu I was doing this business kan, ada beberapa my customer also is the insurance agent, insurance advisor. Then when I see them, right, I also feel very surprised, you know. Aku terasa, kok ini semua cewek ya bisa datang jam 3, bisa datang jam 4, terus dia bisa itu juga, bisa treatment manicure, pedicure, then bisa traveling, bisa ke sekolah anak, bisa, you know, the lifestyle is so amazing, you know. Then I asked them, what is your business? Then these ladies told me, oh, I'm actually an insurance agent. They said, wow, being insurance agent is so fabulous. Is it so fabulous? So amazing. I asked, you know. Then after that, I said that, yeah, insurance agent is very good because we have our time freedom, we have our time for our family, for ourselves, okay, we can even go to holiday, and the best part is that we get such a good income. That's what my client told me. That's what this insurance industry came into my mind. So I felt that, oh yeah, Kenapa aku nggak consider as an insurance agent? Because I also like to speak to people. But one thing, I'm also still, I was being very skeptical because at the same time, aku juga nggak suka jadi agen asuransi. So it's like, I'm become like, okay, should I do, should I not do, should I do, should I not do? But at the end of the day, I decided to try out the business for 6 months. Then after that, in 2016, I convert myself to full-timer. Because I question myself, Kakak, this question you must ask yourself. Aku tanya aku sendiri ya, kalau kamu mau beli asuransi, will you buy from part-timer or full-timer? I ask this question to myself. Then I said that I won't buy from part-timer. Because I perlu someone who work with me or who take care of me all the time. Not some of the time. That's why that I have to convert myself to full-timer if I want to do well in this business. So 2016, I sold off my shop. I sold my shop. Then I don't have nail salon anymore. Then at the end, I continue and I committed to become an insurance advisor. Then I can start seeing result. So sometimes kalau ada beberapa agen yang masih part-timer ya, sebenarnya kalian harus pikir, kalian harus draw a line when you have to convert to full-timer. Karena aku tanya my customers also, if you are sick, for example, you ask this question to yourself, if you are sick, are you going to look for part-timer doctor or are you going to look for full-timer doctor? Of course, full-timer doctor, right? Who dare to actually see part-timer doctor? Maybe they can even give you a wrong prescription if you fall sick. Betul nggak? Nah, makanya aku juga terasa kalau kamu benar-benar mau di bidang asuransi as a professional insurance advisor, must be a very, very committed to what you do. You have to be a full-timer in order to be all the time with your customer. Okay? So, now back to saya punya topik hari ini. Secrets to achieving MDRT efficiently and also consistently. Why I put this word efficiently? Karena di tahun 2020 saya juga waktu itu lagi mengandung anak kedua. Then I was actually chasing for my goal, which is TOT. Was my first TOT in 2020. Susah banget. If I tell you it's easy, I will be bluffing. Betul nggak? Susah banget. Tapi I try my very best how to actually integrate work and also family at the same time. I try my very best. Yeah, so there's a certain things that I would like to share with you all. The points or strategy yang kakak apply di dalam industri ini yang make sure that kakak boleh achieve MDRT efficiently and also consistently. Okay, so we can actually move to the next slide. Okay, so satu is about this action plan to produce efficiently and also consistently. Okay, the first thing that I always tell myself kan, keep your presentation as simple as possible. Waktu pertama kali kakak jadi agen asuransi kan, kakak selalu pikir kalau your presentation is complicated, means that it's easier to sell to your client. Betul nggak? But as a matter of fact, actually it's not true. The simpler your presentation is, the easier for your client to understand. So I always tell myself that keep your presentation as simple as possible. Because if your client get confused or feels that your explanation is very complicated, they even take longer time to consider. That's why that I always tell myself that simple presentation is the best. Even though it's very simple, but it's a very, very impactful. Okay? Yang kedua, focus on the benefits and not on the product features. Dari sekarang sampai dari awal waktu kakak join asuransi sampai sekarang ya, setiap kali kakak focus on the value. I always give a value first to my prospect or client before focus on the product. For example, we talk about concept. The value that we can actually add to them. For example, let's talk about income protection. Aku nggak pernah mention, oh ini produk bisa protect your income. But the first question I ask, kenapa semua orang perlu income protection? Karena kita is a value creator. Kita kenapa harus kerja setiap hari? Karena kita mau cari gaji, mau dapat gaji setiap bulan. Dan ini gaji untuk apa? Untuk take care of our family members. untuk take care of your loved ones, untuk take care of your parents, or untuk take care of your children or for yourself as well. So the concept comes first, not the product features. So you can talk about income protection, or you can talk about critical illness coverage. You can even talk about health insurance. But the most important is that the concept, the value that your client will get instead of the product feature. Product feature will come later. Okay? Then after that, I always plan my daily activities. Okay, this daily activities, right? Sometimes as my mentee always ask me, tanya kakak, kakak, do you still need to have a daily activity ya kakak? Masih perlu nggak sih activity setiap hari? Wong kamu sudah TOT kok. Terus aku bilang sama my mentee, you see, I think because my mentor actually is a Dr. Sanjay Tolani, same as Mariana. So even though Dr. Sanjay juga setiap hari aja ada 10 appointment, you know. You just think dia punya TOT, you know, setiap hari aja bisa achieve MDRT, tapi dia masih ada 10 appointment in a day. So daily activity is very important. Kalau kamu nggak ada activity, means that your sales will be zero. Don't expect people will call you and ask to buy insurance. Don't expect that. People will never call you to buy insurance unless it's someone who is referred to you. But people will not call you to buy insurance. Makanya itu activity is very important. So setiap hari kakak pasti very disciplined to have 3 quality appointment in the day. So first thing, you must know how to differentiate quality appointment and also quantity appointment. Kakak don't focus on quantity appointment because quantity appointment will not lead to your follow-up appointment. So whereby quality appointment means that there will be a follow-up appointment, or maybe later on there will be a subsequent appointment. So quality appointment means that you actually disturb enough. You create a curiosity. Means that your prospect kalian punya prospek merasa, yang kakak tadi share sama saya, it makes sense, you know, bener ya. Betul ya, kita benar-benar harus protect kita punya income ya. Betul. Tadi ada satu agen nanya presentasi apa, nanti aku bakal share on the next slide. Not here. Here is the just a draft. Nanti aku bakal share the presentation. What kind of presentation I share with my prospect and also with my client. So 3 quality appointment means that must be those that there will be a follow-up appointment and also subsequent appointment. So when I say quality, right, means that I have disturbed enough. Remember this word, disturb. If you do not disturb enough, basically your client will never give you the next appointment. Disturb means that kamu make sure that kasih mereka sesuatu idea yang mereka pikir, ada konsep ini yang bisa bantuin saya ya. Kayak kasih dia, ganggu dia punya pikiran bahwa mereka mungkin dia punya existing policy mungkin nggak cukup. Ya, mengusik, betul, mengusik, disturb. Jadi kamu harus disturb. Kalau kamu nggak disturb, terakhir mereka juga nggak ngerti kenapa kok saya harus top up. Bener nggak? Kadang-kadang sebagai agen, kamu bilang, kamu harus upgrade your insurance. Kamu harus top up your insurance. Ya, but why should I top up? Kenapa saya harus top up? Mau saya sekarang juga sudah cukup kok, saya sudah ada health insurance, kenapa saya harus top up? Nah, disturb berarti kamu mengusik ya, mengusik atau kasih mereka sesuatu idea bahwa sekarang yang dia punya policy itu cukup nggak untuk protect mereka. Semua orang ada asuransi, bener nggak? Jarang banget kamu ketemu orang yang nggak ada asuransi. Tapi the question is that whether the coverage is enough or not. Not say ada atau nggak ada, tapi cukup apa nggak cukup. If something happen to them, is it cukup or not to protect them? So remember one thing, the question is not ada apa nggak ada, tapi cukup apa nggak cukup. Karena ya kamu bisa ada 10 policy, kamu bisa ada 10 asuransi coverage, 10 policy, tapi ini policy cukup nggak untuk protect kamu? Karena ya kakak di Malaysia ya, mungkin di Indonesia juga, banyak orang dia ada 10 policy, dia ada 5 policy, tapi waktu kamu combine semua ya, ini 5 policy aja nggak cukup untuk protect dia punya income selama 5 tahun. Ada loh, dia ada 10 policy, tapi setelah kamu combine semua ya, itu coverage kan, nggak cukup untuk protect dia punya income selama 5 tahun. 5 tahun aja nggak cukup. Jadi kita harus kasih ini, create this kind of awareness to your prospect and also to your existing client as well. Then 3 activities in a day. Dan juga these 3 activities in a day, right? You can actually mungkin kalian boleh post on your social media, mungkin on your Insta story or maybe on your Facebook story. Maybe for example kamu share the value kamu yang create for your clients on social media, or maybe the big why. Kenapa kamu join insurance industry? I always tell saya punya audience ya, kenapa saya pick out of so many industry, kenapa saya pick bidang asuransi? Kenapa nggak bidang lain? Kenapa harus asuransi? Karena saya cerita sama mereka, lewat asuransi saya bisa protect more family, financially, secara financial. Dan juga kamu boleh share sama klien punya testimonials on social media. If your client don't want to be shown, maybe mereka punya wajah, apa mereka punya muka, nggak mau to be shown on social media, terus kamu boleh kasih aja nama. Sama nama and don't need to tag your client. You don't need to tag because sometimes they also feel that don't do that, don't do that because maybe it's a PNC, it's a private and confidential. Okay, next. Become a value creator first and not a salesperson. Each time waktu kakak ketemu prospek kan, kakak selalu tanya, how to actually grow a business. I want to understand saya punya prospek punya business. I want to understand my client punya business as well. How actually can I help you? Gimana kakak bisa help you to grow your business? And you know why the reason is this kakak setiap kali waktu bicara sama prospek sama klien kan, saya selalu mau give them a impression bahwa kakak is different compared to any insurance advisor out there. You must stand out, As the insurance advisor, if you want to be the best, you have to stand out. Kenapa they pick you? They don't pick other people. Kenapa they choose you as their insurance advisor but not other people? So kamu harus ingat, kamu harus differentiate, bedain sendiri sama other insurance advisor yang lain. Kenapa kamu difference? Kenapa dia harus work with you? Karena you are different compared to insurance advisor out there. You don't talk about sales, but the first, you actually create a value to your prospect or to your client. Then the next about this is use the 3 M's of managing your business. Pertama, kamu harus selalu monitor your weekly activity. Second, you monitor your monthly production. Whatever that, maybe for example misalnya setiap hari kamu ada 3 appointment. Hari kedua ada 3 appointment lagi, hari ketiga ada 3 appointment. Sampai minggu kedua kan, kenapa nggak ada closing sales kan? Nggak ada closing at all. Then kamu harus speak to your leader. Maybe your strategy is wrong, atau mungkin your presentation is not right. Maybe your presentation is not right, or maybe your strategy is wrong. That's why you have to actually stay in touch with your leader and ask, did I do something wrong or not? How come setiap kali aku ada tiga appointment, aku ada tiga customer, I share my presentation to 3 people setiap hari, but why none of them actually buy insurance from me? So the problem is ourselves, not other people. Okay? And lastly is that have a strong passion for our profession. Most of the time kan, waktu kalian terasa customer kalian beli produk dari beli asuransi dari kalian kan, bukan karena produknya, tapi karena they believe in what you believe in. They believe in your passion. They believe that you can give a value that will add value to their family member and also to their loved ones. So this is very important. Strong passion for our professions, because most of the client when they buy insurance from you is because they believe in what you do. They believe in what you believe. Okay? Next. Okay, so this is beberapa idea yang kakak mau share sama all the audience. The first thing is that list down all your existing client new prospect birthday. Karena with the birthday kalian bisa tahu there's a urgency. Mungkin kalau tahun ini dia beli, kamu boleh beli asuransi tahun ini, boleh beli asuransi tahun depan. Tapi kamu bisa nggak guarantee bahwa sekarang sampai tahun depan your health will never change? Bisa nggak kamu guarantee that kamu selalu sehat sampai kamu tahun depan? Nggak bisa kan? Dan kalau kamu beli tahun depan juga, itu premi juga udah lebih mahal daripada tahun ini. So I always list down the existing client birthday and also the new prospect birthday. Second thing I always like to share is about cost of waiting. So if let's say like just now I mentioned, you buy now or you buy later, yang mana lebih mahal, yang mana lebih murah, dan juga kita nggak bisa guarantee that kita punya kondisi sekarang sampai nanti 1 tahun kemudian kita tetap masih sehat atau nggak ada accident, kita nggak bisa guarantee. Okay? Terus next, follow up with all the cases that you have open. Okay, sekarang kita harus mengerti perbedaan the cost of paying the premium versus the cost of not having the protection. Kalian ini semua jelas nggak? Maksudnya apa? The cost of paying the premium and the cost of not having the protection. I think ada satu agen bilang kakak boleh switch to Indonesian ya, jelas ya. The cost of the paying the premium versus the cost of not having the protection. Sebagai as an example, okay, waktu prospeknya kakak bilang sama kakak, waktu itu kakak propose satu plan coverage about 1.000 ringgit per bulan, okay, itu buat coverage 1 juta ringgit, 1 juta ringgit ya. Terus aku tanya ini prospek, tak suruh dia ya, bandingkan the pain bayar 1.000 ringgit per bulan sama the pain not having ini 1 million coverage. If something happen to you, which one is more painful? Mana yang lebih sakit? Bayar premi 1.000 per bulan atau not having ini 1 million coverage when something happen to you? Then my prospect ting. Yeah, I think if kalau saya nggak ada 1 million coverage kan, if something happen to me, I die. Dia bilang matilah karena dia nggak ada income dan juga dia punya anak depend on his income. Dia punya istri juga depend on his income. Lagi dia punya parents juga depend on his income. Dan juga dia punya sibling. Dia bilang, kalau aku nggak ada 1 juta ringgit ini coverage, aku mati. Dia bilang, mati. Karena nggak ada income. Kalau aku hidup, nggak ada income, saya lebih suka saya mati nggak ada income. Karena mati nggak ada income, udah nggak usah, kita nggak ada responsibility lagi. Tapi kalau kita nggak bisa kerja, nggak ada income, kita masih perlu take care of our loved ones, itu yang bahaya, yang sakit. Jadi ini perbandingannya ya. The pain of paying the premium versus the pain of not having the coverage. Which one is more painful? Mana yang lebih sakit? Okay? Next is be a specialist, not a generalist. Aku setiap kali selalu fokus ke my mentee. Like actually this year Malaysia juga ada mentor-mentee kan. Malaysia juga ada mentor-mentee. Ini tahun keempat saya sebagai mentor. Dan juga saya selalu kasih tahu saya punya mentee harus jadi spesialis. Karena think of this kalau misalnya kamu sakit, for example all those women sakit lah, misalnya dia terasa mungkin dia punya cervix uncomfortable, kamu bakal look for GP, or you will look for GP berarti dokter umum, or you will look for gynecologist. Pasti gynecologist kan, karena kamu terasa gynecologist bakal have the better knowledge when it comes to your problem. The same goes to as an insurance advisor. Kalau kamu mau jadi professional insurance advisor, make sure that you must be a specialist. So for example, for me, I always specialize in children education. Kenapa tahu nggak? Karena saya sendiri juga mami. Saya sendiri juga young mother. Karena when I speak to ada young mother, waktu kita komunikasi sama ada young mother, kita bisa connect. My fear is her fear. My concern, dia punya concerns. My dreams for my children, also their dreams for their children. It's the same. So that's why that when I speak to all these mothers right, in school all the mothers kalau dia mau think of insurance or how to use insurance to be part of their education planning for their children, they always think of kakak. You see when they think of education planning, they think of kakak. Because kakak specialize in education planning. So remember all the insurance agents here, make sure that identify what is your strength and make that strength become your specialty, become your specialization and be a specialist. Banyak orang ngomong ya, ini perkataan, it is a saying kan, if you know a lot of things, kamu tahu banyak macam, Tapi at the end of the day, you are good at nothing is equals to zero. But what if you are good at something, you don't need to know so many things, but you are good at particular things. People will still look for you for the advice. So kalian boleh pikir, boleh actually focus on maybe retirement planning, or boleh fokus ke income protection. Maybe you become a income protection specialist, or maybe you can become a king of income protection. Then you can be actually specialized like me, children education and also income protection. These two, aku buat bareng-bareng karena income protection is actually related to education planning. Kalau kamu income kamu nggak diprotect, gimana kamu ada uang untuk simpan buat anak-anakmu for education in the future? Bener nggak? Jadi waktu sekali kakak talk about this case study, kakak combine these two, income protection plus education planning together at the same time. Okay? Next, masih ada beberapa idea ya. Okay, so this is something that I benar-benar suka when we talk about this topic to my prospect. You know, sometimes banyak-banyak agen selalu tanya ya, menti-mentinya kakak juga tanya, aduh kakak, kalau memang saya ada 10 appointment in a day, tapi setiap kali saya telepon mereka ya, aku bingung ya mau ngomong apa ya, mau ngomong apa. Kalau ngomong asuransi, dia nggak mau terima, atau dia ngomong dia lagi sibuk. Terus mau ngomong apa ya kakak? Banyak banget mentiku yang nanyain gini. Nah, terus aku bilang sama dia, kenapa kamu nggak pick the topic whereby sekarang semua orang lagi suka diskusi about this topic, which is about vaksin. Kak, di Malaysia, sekarang ya setiap hari semua orang talk about booster buat anak. I think di Indonesia sudah mulai booster buat anak kan. Malaysia barusan, terakhir ini barusan, bukan booster, sorry. Barusan ada vaccination buat anak-anak, buat children. Indonesia I think dari tahun kemarin, tapi Malaysia baru sekarang. Jadi setiap kali waktu kakak pick up call kan, aku selalu talk about vaccination for children. Because when I talk about vaccination for children, right, prospekku nggak bakal just cut off the phone, nggak bakal tutup teleponnya karena dia juga mau tahu, kakak, what is your thoughts about vaccination for children? Kakak, what is your view? Because you are in the insurance mah, maybe kamu kenal dokter-dokter lah, kamu kenal banyak orang-orang yang mungkin ada different view. Kamu boleh share sama aku nggak? Nah, makanya aku pakai sesuatu topik yang mereka nggak bisa reject kakak. Oke, jadi saya pakai ini topik. Terus aku bilang sama mereka, kenapa kamu mau kasih vaccination ke your children? Dia bilang, ya vaccination is very important kan. Kalau mereka ada vaksin, mereka get vaccinated, at least mereka kalau benar-benar kena COVID, mereka nggak usah ke ICU, nggak usah ke hospital, mungkin self quarantine. Then I told them, that is exactly how insurance work. Bener nggak? Kalian agree nggak? Insurance actually works similarly compared to vaccination. Do you think that a proper insurance planning works the same as vaccination? Yes, minimize the risk. So, our job insurance is to minimize our financial risk. Vaccination for your health to minimize your medical risk. But insurance to minimize your financial risk. A lot of people, they don't see this. A lot of your prospect don't see this. Makanya kita sebagai professional insurance advisor mereka, kita harus open their mind. Make them see things further. Open their mind, make them see further. That's how why insurance vaccination works the same as insurance. Okay. Tapi sekarang kakak tambah lagi, bukan financial vaccine. Kakak pakai apa? Financial booster. So how kakak relate financial booster sama asuransi ya? Aku bilang, semua orang ada asuransi, bener gak? Semua orang lah, kamu tanya temenmu lah, temen punya relatif lah, temen punya temen, pasti ada asuransi. Tapi pertanyaannya sekarang, whether or not mereka punya asuransi is enough to protect them. Is it good enough to protect them? If it's not good enough, so the next thing you have to do, put financial booster, which is insurance. That's how I relate. Financial booster is to help you to protect your current situation, your current financial risk. Maybe your current insurance boleh protect kamu, cuman nggak cukup, makanya kamu perlu financial booster which is from insurance. Okay? So with a proper insurance planning, people will not die financially. Karena vaccination is to protect your health and insurance is to protect your wealth. So kita harus tahu gimana kita pakai ini financial booster when we speak to our prospect. Ya, kalian ada asuransi, good. You tell them congratulations is good. But if your insurance, yang current insurance not good enough for you, then what you need to do is that put in more financial booster to protect your financial health. Ingat ya, financial health. Okay, next. Misconception about medical insurance. I think in Indonesia you call this as a health insurance. Betul ya? In Malaysia we call it as a medical insurance. So, ini ada sesuatu yang aku mau share ya. Sampai sekarang, even di Malaysia, I believe di Indonesia juga, banyak orang yang dia ada ini perspektif ya. Kalau mereka ada health insurance berarti mereka are well taken care of. Betul nggak? Kalian yang agree, say agree ya. Karena di Malaysia banyak banget ya nasabah dia bilang, oh kakak, aku sudah ada medical insurance 3 juta ringgit setiap tahun, aku nggak usah beli lagi. Don't ask me to top up, jangan suruh aku top up karena aku ada 3 million medical insurance, health insurance. Betul? Banyak banget ya. Itu adalah miskonsepsi yang mereka ada. Health insurance is only to take care of your medical bill, benar nggak? When you are treated in the hospital to pay for your medical bill, that's it. That's it ah. So for example, normally when you buy the medical insurance, bill apa yang kalian takut? Pasti yang big bill kan, bukan small bill kan? Kalau cuman billnya cuman misalnya kurang dari 1 juta, maybe you think that ya it's okay lah, aku bisa bayar sendiri. Tapi big bill kalian takut, misalnya billnya sampai 30 juta lah, 50 juta lah, apa 100 juta kalian takut. Makanya kalian beli health insurance, betul? Tapi when you claim for the big bill, normally what kind of illnesses? Penyakit apa yang perlu pay so much of treatment? Critical illness, bener nggak? Only critical illness kan? Kayak cancer lah, betul. Critical illness are those actually illnesses that require longer treatment. Ya, so when that happens, okay ya, this person masih bisa kerja nggak? Betul, heart attack masih bisa kerja nggak? Nggak bisa kerja kan? So this person actually lose the ability to earn, udah nggak bisa kerja. Kalau nggak bisa kerja berarti dia nggak ada gaji, nggak ada income. Nggak ada non-productive, betul. Nggak ada gaji, nggak ada income. No income, income zero. Oke ya. When your income zero, your expenses masih tetap jalan kan? Kamu masih perlu bayar loan, masih perlu makan, masih perlu take care of your kids education, masih perlu take care of your spouse. Bener nggak? Masih jalan. Your expenses masih jalan. Nah, when that happens kan, can you use your health insurance to take care of your income or not? Or to replace your income? What's the answer? Nope. Exactly. Gak bisa. Then you ask your client or your prospect. Kalau nggak bisa, then where does your income come from? Where does your income come from? When your health insurance cannot help you because your health insurance cuman bisa take care of your medical bills, but cannot take care of your income. Then at the end, ini punya your client who have only health insurance will be cured medically. You see ya, will be cured medically. But you look at the slide, will die financially. So this is very important. Sesuatu yang satu perkataan yang saya selalu share ke my prospect sama klien. If you have a health insurance, yes, you'll be protected, but only medically ya. But you will die financially. Are you okay with that? If you are okay to die financially, then it's okay. You can stick to your health insurance. Tapi siapa yang agree, bener nggak? Siapa yang agree that, oh it's okay, nggak apa-apa, aku medically cured, then I die financially. No one will tell you that. Makanya kita harus create a awareness to let mereka know that health insurance is important, but don't always forget about critical illness insurance. Karena critical illness insurance yang take care of your income, take care of your long-term care, and take care of your to replace your ability to earn is very, very important. So when it comes to financial planning, right? When it comes to insurance planning, saya selalu tanya saya punya prospek sama klien. There's a 2 defense mechanism in this financial planning. Nomor 1, medical defense. Nomor 2, financial defense. Do you have both? I might ask my prospect or my prospect. Do you have both medical defense and financial defense? And normally they always say that I think I only have medical defense because I only have health insurance. That's why that we have to actually take care of them financially dari perspective of financial defense. Oke, ini clear nggak? Ini is very important lah, karena dengan konsep ini saja ya kakak bisa close one COT. Ini konsep. Karena di Malaysia banyak banget prospek dia only depend on health insurance, but they don't have enough critical illness coverage. Sampai sekarang ya, dia punya critical illness coverage dan mungkin cuma 100 ribu ringgit, that's it. Cannot take care of their income, not enough, nggak cukup. So now the question is that is it enough or not? Ask your prospect, are you medically protected or are you protected both medically and financially? Okay, this make sure that everyone is clear about this because this is very important. Kakak selalu open case with the misconception towards medical insurance. I always open case with this misconception about medical insurance. Karena sampai sekarang people out there mereka cuma ada health insurance, but mereka tak ada income protection. Tak ada. Mungkin ada pun cuma 100 ribu, maybe 100 ribu ringgit, mungkin kurang dari 500 juta. Okay? Next. Okay, medical insurance is to take care of your medical bills and not your current needs, but not your ongoing needs and also not your future needs. Okay, this one hopefully all clear. And juga, if they don't have proper financial defense, many will end up using their own hard-earned saving, investment and property to take care of those needs. And also when that happens, that someone's hard-earned saving, investment and property become a sacrificial items to replace their income. Okay, so this is very important. Satu lagi ya, satu point that kakak want to add on is not on the slide. Recently for the past 3 to 6 weeks, kakak fokus a lot on children critical illness. Ada nggak kalian di sini yang fokus on children critical illness coverage? Ada. Karena ya kenapa ini juga part of income protection for the family, for the parents. Setiap kali when we talk about income protection, kita selalu protect the breadwinner of the family members. Betul nggak? Betul? I believe that many agen di dalam ini Zoom, kalian setiap kali talk about income protection, you always protect the breadwinner of the family, which is the person who have income. Betul nggak? Betul kan? Malaysia juga setiap kali when talk about income protection, you only protect the breadwinner of the family. But don't forget, I now slightly, I already start to actually expanding my income protection strategy. Not just to protect the breadwinner of the family, but I need to protect juga the breadwinner spouse. And the last one is the breadwinner of the children. Kakak jelasin ya, kenapa you have to take care of the breadwinner of the spouse. Karena kalau misalnya ya, ini spouse misalnya dia housewife ya, yes, she doesn't have income, dia nggak kerja, nggak ada income. But if she falls sick, critically ill, do you think that any spouse need attention from the husband? Perlu kan? Perlu attention from the husband kan? But if the husband still need to work to bring income to the table, basically the husband doesn't have time for the spouse. Betul nggak? Betul ya? So I ask my prospect, when your spouse falls sick, do you want to actually have the options to just stop working and take care of your spouse? Because that is the times that your spouse need you the most. Okay, so you can see this scenario. I said your spouse perlu kamu now, need you the most karena your spouse fall sick. So do you want to have the options to just stop working or take care of your spouse or not? Then my prospect say that, of course, kalau aku ada option, pasti aku nggak mau kerja karena that is the times that my spouse need me the most, need my time. Betul nggak? Because the spouse is critically ill mah. So the coverage of the spouse to replace the breadwinner's income. So can see now kenapa kita harus protect the spouse, the breadwinner spouse critical illness coverage. Why do we need to protect the spouse? And why do we need to actually give them more coverage on the critical illness? Because the critical illness coverage of the spouse will replace the breadwinner's income. Oke, itu nomor 1 ya. Nomor 2, banyak yang tanya, kenapa kakak selalu jual critical illness coverage to the children, the breadwinner children? A lot of people will tell me like this, banyak yang bilang, ayah kakak, anakku nggak usah kasih banyak-banyak coverage, wong dia aja nggak kerja kok. Lagi umur 7, lagi umur 6, kenapa harus beli asuransi banyak-banyak? Aku nggak mau benefit dari anakku punya asuransi. Yang penting saya covered enough. Istriku, anakku yang paling sedikit aja, yang minimal aja cukup. Bener nggak? Banyak orang ngomong kayak gini kan? Yang penting breadwinner punya anakku sama spouseku nggak usah banyak-banyak coverage karena mereka don't have income, mereka nggak kerja. Betul kan? Nah, then I ask this prospect, okay, Mr. Prospect, you love your child, right? He say, yeah, I love my child. Touch wood, if your child critically ill and need papa the most of the time, want papa to be beside him all the time, every day, do you want to actually stand by him, next to him, to take care of him? Or you still want to continue working? Then my prospect say that, kalau aku ada option, of course I want to take care of my child lah, but I need to work ma. Exactly. But I can make your dreams come true. I told my prospect, I can make your dreams come true. Then my prospect asked me, how? I will make sure that your child is equally important and I will take care of your child coverage. Jadi when the child falls sick, right, the child coverage will be able to replace the breadwinner's income. Will be able to replace the father's income. So when that happens, I actually make the father's dreams come true. When the son need him the most, the father no need to work, but have a lump sum of money to take care of the son and also the family, and the father no need to work. That's how that each time when kakak sell policy kan, kenapa bisa one case MDRT or one family MDRT? Karena the father also buy high sum assured, the mother also cover high sum assured, and also the children also cover sum assured. For in Malaysia, we can sell up to 1 million ringgit for children coverage. Yeah, so I got 2 tahun yang lalu, karena kakak punya prospek ada 5 anak, dan 5-5-nya 1 juta, 1 juta, 1 juta, 1 juta, jadi 5 million. Yeah. Dan itu case ya, help kakak to close one family, one MDRT. Karena suami, istri, dan 5 anak, 7 orang, satu family. Makanya kakak benar-benar suka close family case, karena sekali kamu close ya bisa semuanya. Kamu perlu share one concept. And if that concept makes sense, and they accept that concepts, you can sell to every single family, every single member of the family in that household. So you can actually do everything in one shot. Makanya kakak selalu fokus on family cases. Okay? So hopefully this quite clear. So remember, many agents out there when it comes to income protection only protect the breadwinner of the family. But we have to extend to the spouse and also to the children. Okay? Next. Okay, before I end my sharing ya, ini satu quotes that I always share with my prospect also and my client. Doctors and insurance advisor work hand in hand. Doctors cure you medically and we cure you financially. In fact, kakak selalu use my doctor's client as my COI. Kakak have a conversation with my doctor lah, which is my client. I say, dokter, kamu terasa nggak sebenarnya profesiku juga as important as you? Aku tanya ini dokter say, ya, I think so lah, karena kamu jual asuransi juga itu kan health coverage, health insurance lah, income protection. Then I say, ya, apalagi? Dia bilang, I think that's all. I say, no, you have to see when the patient come to you kan, you actually protect your patient medically. Betul nggak? You cure your patient only medically. But remember one thing, who cure your patient financially is only the insurance agent. So that's why you all here in this room, you are all very amazing. Ya, kalian ya benar-benar amazing karena you protect so many family out there financially. Only you can do that. I remember, guys. Only you can do that. So make sure all of you must achieve MDRT, COT, or TOT because the higher you achieve, the more family you protect. Okay? So lastly is about vaccine protects your physical health and also insurance protect your financial health. Okay, so hopefully my sharing will benefit all of you here. And kalau misalnya ada sesuatu yang kalian nggak jelas and maybe want me to elaborate in Indonesian, you let me know maybe during the Q&A, then kakak boleh elaborate lagi more. Thank you, Christina. Back to you.
Thank you, kakak. Wow, luar biasa banget ya.
Oh yeah, and this one, Christina, one thing I would like to highlight when you make the right choice, the rest of your life could be the best year of your life. And that happened to me after I decided to join insurance. Really, the rest of my life is the best of my life. I really can see even though when I was actually giving birth to my second baby, I still able to chase my TOT during the virtual meeting. Yeah. So I think kita juga we are very blessed lah karena kita masih bisa business virtually dan juga one thing I think I actually share sama Christina on the other day. Banyak banget klienku yang di Malaysia dia dare not see me physically, sampai sekarang. Karena dia bilang gini, kakak boleh nggak kita have a Zoom meeting? I say why? You don't want to see me physically me? I thought kalau kamu nggak see me physically, kamu nggak ada confident untuk beli asuransi. You know what she told me? She said that, ayah nggak mau nggak mau ketemu kamu physically karena aku terasa ya asuransi agen itu high risk. Dia bilang high risk. Aku bilang kenapa? Karena agen asuransi itu selalu ketemu orang. Nah, is our opportunity, is our privilege. Karena kita bisa ketemu klien kita virtually, then kita become more productive. You can have a meeting even at 11 at night, 11 p.m. also no problem because it's safe for us. Yeah. So if you want to follow me, you can follow me in my Instagram as well. So if you have any question, can PM me, then I can help you to answer any question that you have maybe in the future. Ya, terima kasih semua.
Yeah, thank you kakak, luar biasa banget ya. Thanks a lot for your great and inspiration sharing kakak. Nah kakak, boleh nggak kita ngambil waktu sebentar untuk ada teman-teman dari Prudential Indonesia yang ingin tanya langsung nih sama kakak ya.
Boleh.
Yang pertama nih ya, bagaimana kakak meyakinkan jika ada nasabah atau klien yang kena ekstra premi atau pengecualian because usia nasabah itu sudah tinggi, let's say 69 tahun.
Ya, oke, saya juga sebenarnya banyak klien kayak gitu ya. Kalau dapat exclusion dia nggak happy, dapat loading dia nggak happy. Terus aku bilang sama nasabahnya, aku bilang you are blessed, you are still blessed. Kenapa? Karena company don't reject you. Untung company still take the risk, with your condition masih take your risk. It's just that you need to pay more only or maybe there's an exclusion. But what if company reject you means that you cannot buy insurance anymore? Not from us, from any life insurance company out there. You cannot actually buy from them. So setiap kali aku change my client's mindset. You have to treat this as a blessing. If sekarang kan company still accept you, but it's just that give you loading, right? Then you have to even buy more. You have to even buy more because at least that company have not rejected you yet. Because when the company reject you, if you want to pay more also, no, nggak bisa. Karena sudah rejected. Yeah. So it's very normal. Don't give up. Keep talking to your client and change the way they think. You must realign them to their proper right mindset that actually they are blessed. They are blessed masih ada asuransi company yang masih mau insure mereka walaupun mereka consider high risk or maybe because of the age.
Yes, betul. Semoga menjawab ya pertanyaan tadi dari Damar. Selalu ada thanks, masih ada untungnya, lakinya gitu ya kakak ya.
Ya.
Oke. Boleh lagi satu pertanyaan lagi mungkin dari Anonymous. Bagaimana cara kakak kalau klien kita mengatakan mereka tidak perlu critical illness atau CI karena udah menyiapkan dana darurat untuk kondisi tersebut, kakak?
Oke, sekarang aku juga dapat ini objection kayak gini sering banget lah. Dia bilang, aku sudah ada 1 juta ringgit. Dia bilang sudah 1 juta ringgit, udah siap untuk emergency fund. Terus aku bilang sama mereka begini, ini emergency fund kamu mau pakai untuk apa? Untuk take care of your bills. But what if sebelum kamu mau pakai ini emergency fund, something happen to you, and this fund is already not there, then how? Karena sekarang ini kamu masih ada ini fund, but you do not know, mungkin 3 bulan lagi, mungkin something happen, maybe your business is not doing well, maybe ya. Then you need to use this fund to take care of your business. Then when you fall sick, who is going to take care of yourself and all your expenses? Betul nggak? Banyak orang ngomong kayak gitu, Christina, and also the person who asked me the question kan. Emang banyak orang ngomong, aku sudah siapin dana untuk ini, untuk itu, ABC. Jadi aku nggak perlu critical illness coverage. Tapi you have to think one thing. What if suddenly your business going down? Or maybe you need money to take care of your parents. Or you need money to take care of your siblings. You might need to touch that money. But when that happens, mean that your emergency fund is gone. So when you are critically ill, then where does you get the money? Yeah. So we have to actually know how to handle the objection. It's okay, it's very normal, and you don't give up on this client because you still can actually still talk to this person.
Ya. Thank you. Semoga menjawab ya. Thanks a lot Kakak for your answer ya. Kemudian boleh satu lagi Kakak ya, ini lagi dari Liga. Boleh explain kenapa critical illness protection itu penting buat anak, Kakak?
Oke, sebenarnya ada beberapa. Saya mau elaborate satu lagi ya. Tadi yang critical illness buat anak penting karena critical illness anak bisa untuk take care of the breadwinner's income. Ya, mungkin saya kasih scenario lagi ya. Misalnya prospekmu, aku lah. Misalnya ini prospek ini tadi Mbak siapa yang kasih aku question ya? Mbak apa Mas? Bapak atau Ibu?
Bapak atau apa? Liga namanya, Liga.
Oh, oke.
Liga.
Liga ya, oke, Liga. Oke, misalnya kamu aku sebagai prospekmu, aku ada satu anak, aku breadwinner, ya, aku yang the one work and get income. Terus kamu tanya sama aku, Kakak, kenapa ya kok kamu kenapa nggak beli critical illness coverage for your children, maybe for my son? Then I say that no need, karena saya yang breadwinner of the family kan. Aku beli untuk aku sendiri paling penting, karena kalau ada apa-apa happen to me, aku ada itu critical illness coverage to take care of my son and also for myself. Betul nggak? Tapi ini question ya, ingat ya Liga. If let's say something happen to my son, ya, touch wood, something happen to my son, even though I'm a career woman, do you think as a mother I still want to work, or I want to stop working and take care of my son? If you ask me this question, I will tell you, if I have the options, I don't want to work. I want to spend my time with my son every single day, because now my son need me the most. Because he is ill and he need me the most. He need my time, he need my attention. So he doesn't want me to work. But if I have the options not to work, I don't want to work. But that will only happen if I can use my son critical illness coverage to take care of my income. That's why that I need to have a high sum assured for critical illness coverage for my son, for my loved ones. Because to make sure that when they fall sick, I do not want to work, I take care of them, but I have my income replacement from their coverage. Yeah, hopefully that answer your question ya, Liga.
Thank you, semoga menjawab ya Liga ya. Oke, Kakak, I think satu pertanyaan terakhir ya. Masih oke Kakak untuk
masih oke ya. It's just that sometimes when I speak, because you see why kadang-kadang aku tetap masih speak di dalam bahasa Inggris, karena day in day out when I speak to my clients semua pakai bahasa Inggris. Ya, jadi I think my English will be more impactful and more convincing, but it's okay. I can actually try to translate it if they don't understand. Yeah.
Ya, noted Kakak. Oke, terakhir ya mungkin teman-teman Bapak Ibu ya, beberapa pertanyaan sama yang sudah terangkum. Kakak bagaimana menghadapi klien yang kemampuan ekonominya terbatas atau kecil?
Terbatas atau kecil nggak masalah. Setiap kali kalau kakak buka open case ya, selalu aku open case big case first. I never open small case. But I tell my client, start from small. So you start one at a time. So for example ya, misalnya kamu propose ini klien misalnya sum assured misalnya 1 juta ringgit misalnya. Tapi karena dia punya ekonomi nggak sanggup untuk bayar preminya, mungkin step by step, mungkin 200.000 dulu, 200.000 dulu, 200.000 dulu, sampai terakhir achieve dia goal 1 juta. Karena kalau kamu nggak start to actually commit now, then you will never reach your goal to 1 million. Yeah, so you break down the goal into small pieces. Karena terlalu banyak, people don't want to start. But you don't give up on that. What you need to do, break the goals into small pieces. then you settle one by one at a time. Yeah, you still get your case, and the best part is that you still can follow up next year because next year you also still need sales. Betul kan? Next year you still need sales mah, so it's okay.
Betul. Thank you. Semoga menjawab ya, Diana ya. Selalu dimulai dari case kecil dulu juga nggak apa-apa, tapi presentasi selalu dimulai dari yang besar. Oke ya. Terima kasih kakak sekali lagi ya untuk waktunya, untuk inspirasinya, sharingnya yang luar biasa. Teman-teman semoga menjawab semua pertanyaan teman-teman dan mohon maaf jika ada pertanyaan yang belum bisa dijawab langsung. Mungkin teman-teman boleh follow kakak dengan senang hati jika ada pas ada waktu ya kakak bisa berteman dengan teman-teman, menjawab pertanyaan teman-teman. Ya mudah-mudahan ilmu yang dikasih boleh kita praktekkan, itu yang paling penting ya, dimention di awal oleh Pak Rusli. Baik. Bapak Ibu, mari bersama-sama kita protek keluarga di sana, di luar sana lebih banyak lagi dan mengukir prestasi untuk diri kita sendiri. Nah, untuk mempertegas semua